on voters' constitutional right to re-elect a performing leader. Join us to examine whether a single tenure can deliver lasting leadership or not are Dr. George Agbakai, who's a APC chieftain, and Mr. Kennedy Nwankwocha, who's the Southeast spokesperson of the Obedient Movement. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us on Breakfast Extra. My first question is to you, Dr. Agbakai. With the recent comments concerning this topic and also looking at where Nigeria is right now, do you think that a single four-year tenure realistically can deliver lasting leadership in Nigeria?
Thank you very much for having me. You see, in Nigerian politics, it has become very clear that 4 years is not enough for a president to do a whole lot. You know, this topic has been a topic of intense conversation in the past, in the past couple of weeks. And I've personally contributed, to this conversation, even in this particular platform, a few days ago, So, see, we have a problem in the Southeast. This 4 years is unconstitutional. We believe that limiting the Southeast presidency to a single term, if implemented, would amount to another chapter of the continued political marginalization of the Southeast. See, after more than 6 decades, the Southeast deserves nothing short of full presidential tenure, rather than a symbolic or abbreviated stint in office. So far, the Southeast presidential tenure remains less than 1%, despite the Southeast being a significant component of the Nigerian population. So, voluntarily surrendering, as P2B and Kwankwaso, as they are advocating, it makes us, feel weakened. Our bargaining power, our bargaining position in the Southeast is weakened. See, Section 137 of the 1999 Constitution made it abundantly clear that a president has the right, constitutional right, to seek for a second tenure. So anything less than that is to the detriment of the Southeast. So fundamentally, look at what we believe. In Southeast, we believe the best thing for us is to back the current administration's reform momentum. That's what we need to do until 2031, deepening integration into national structures, and now positioning ourselves as incredible partners. We need to emulate the Yoruba strategy, the Yoruba political establishment. They did it successfully. I remember around 2014, 2015, the Yorubas were frequenting Katsina, frequenting Kaduna, meeting with the northern establishment. People like Baba Akande, our able incumbent president, Chief Pius Akinyerule, Chief Osoba, they were going to all these places and, supporting President Muhammad Buhari in 2015. That alliance produced 8 years of northern leadership, which then paved the way for the Southwest presidency under President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. So that is what we do. The politics is about reciprocity. The Southeast needs to emulate the Southwest. When we do that, definitely after 2031, when the presidency goes to the north, coming back to the south in 2038 or thereabout, it is now coming to Southeast. That is better for us. Any argument that the NDC, single-term arrangement should be shielded from an internal party, democracy is legally untenable. It's not an internal issue. This is a constitutional issue. That is what I want to say.
Well, Kennedy, talking about this, argument that Nigeria's challenge is not the length of time the leaders serve, but the kind of institution that we're in. What's your take on this situation?
Good morning, and thank you for the opportunity to be here with you this morning. I think it was Walter Scott that said, what a tangle web they weave when first they practice to defeat. The question I want to ask, my doctor, call him Dede, is does APC have, in their memorandum, in their constitution, do they have a rotational presidency? And if they do, why didn't they zone it to Southeast, in 2023? Why didn't they do that? I think it was even so bad that Ogbonneonu was crying, where is the justice? He was crying, where is the justice? A little after then, he died. Even Buhari government even wanted Lawan to retain presidency. So why didn't Bola Ahmed Tinubu in 2023, knowing like the history has just painted that the Southeast has not become the same? Why didn't Bola Ahmed Tinubu, having come from the Southwest, where President Obasanjo, has done 8 years, and where Osibajo did 8 years as vice presidency, why didn't APC zone it to Southeast in 2023 when Ogbonneonu was there? This minister from my state was also. Why didn't they do that? The problem is that the Constitution of Nigeria did not provide 8 years tenure. What the Constitution of Nigeria provides is 4 years single tenure, which is renewable. And I'm glad he said he will seek. So when you seek, it means that it is not your right. Everybody has the constitutional right at that particular moment to seek. So you're going to seek based on your legacy, based on your performance, and based on the peoples of Nigeria if they are going to vote you in. So the people of Nigeria reserve the right to say, no, you have not performed better. Oh, no, we don't like to see your face again. We are going to vote you out and bring another person. So what the Constitution guarantees for you immediately you win an election is 4 years term. The question becomes, can 4 years be enough for somebody to perform? And I said yes, 4 years is enough. If 4 years is not enough, the framers of Nigerian Constitution wouldn't have made a 4 years single tenure. After, we might maybe tomorrow begin to say, oh, can we extend it to 20 years single tenure? Can we extend it to 50 years? Can we extend it to 100 years? But right about now, the Constitution says 4 years single tenure, and that 4 years single tenure is renewable, dependent on your performance and dependent on the voters if they are going to vote you in. So it's not automatic. But historically, there are so many presidents, because that where the question should be, can somebody deliver in 4 years? And what the question we should ask ourselves is, what is it that Nigeria needs at this moment? What is it that is lacking in our polity that we need at this moment? But let us even go historically, like we copied our democracy from America. There are 5 American presidents, that did single. In fact, they campaigned that they wanted single tenure. James K. Polk, 1845 to 1849, did 4 years, and within this period, he vowed to do single tenure. He brought some agendas. Brought Great Britain, brought Oregon, took Oregon from Great Britain. Did establish single treasury. And it was even during the time of war. George W. Bush, 1989 to 1993. Jimmy Carter, 1977 to 1981. John Quincy Adams, 1825 to 1829. Rutherford, 1877 to 1881. If we come in our own side, Mandela did 4 years. And in short, Mandela, they were coming from apartheid, right? One would have expected that the first time that the blacks are getting power in South Africa, that Mandela would have stayed there for. Mandela did only 4 years. And in those 4 years, he was able to reconcile a nation that was, desperately needed unity. When this athlete, Dr. Yara will know about Sam Bakwe from Imo State. Sam Bakwe did 4 years. In 4 years, in fact, the legacy that Sam Bakwe kept in 4 years, the governors that came after him are still struggling today. Are we going to talk about Jack Ondem that from 1973? So the problem is not that the people we elect into position are not prepared. Like this APC, a good example is this APC government. These people came into government not prepared. It was one of their spokesperson today that said even if you give them 30 years, they are not going to do anything. These people are confused. They don't have a vision. So it's not about the length of time. Can we deliver? What are the deliverables? What Nigeria needs in this moment is not about that we live in a lawless country.
Mr. Onkocha, permit me to butt in here. Mr. Onkocha, please permit me to butt in here.
So we need to bring the country together.
Mr. Wakocha,
What
Mr.
is
Wakocha, please give me, permit me to butt in here at this point in time. I understand you're quite passionate about this conversation, but let me ask Dr. Agbakai now. Dr. Agbakai, let's move away from regional politics and let's focus on leadership right now. Looking at what we have, looking at the uniqueness of the situations we have in Nigeria, would a guaranteed single term encourage bold reforms and better governance, or would it remove an important mechanism through which voters, hold leaders accountable? So we're focusing now on governance now, not region.
Okay. I want to go back to what my colleague from the other side said earlier. He was making reference to some American presidents. But I want to let him know that some of these presidents contested for a second term and lost, just like Jimmy Carter. Jimmy Carter contested and lost the election to Ronald Reagan, just like other presidents he mentioned. The point is that 4 years is not enough when you consider the nature of Nigerian political reality. 4 years is not enough. When you get to power, you use the first 1 year, if not 1.5 years, to set up your government. And after that, you continue. 4 years has never been enough, and it will not work this time. The 4 years is to the detrimental of the Igbo people. Listen, other regions, they have done 8 years. Buhari did 8 years. Obasanjo did 8 years. Even Goodluck, under a difficult circumstance, did 6 years. And President Bola Ahmed Tinubu will do 8 years. So when you want an Igbo president, a would-be Igbo president, to do 4 years, it is wrong. The Igbos oppose this vehemently. See, in respect of zoning that we are talking about, zoning, we know, is an informal policy of rotating presidential candidates between regions. And it's not a constitutional provision. Zoning, though, it has never been enshrined in the Constitution. And to an extent, it has guided the Fourth Republic polities. But we know that zoning also has limits. So what we need to do is to reach out to other ethnic groups. No single ethnic group can win the presidency of this great country. You have to reach out to other ethnic groups. We need to support our Yoruba brothers so that they can support us when it gets to our turn.
Dr. Agbakai, I'm not sure. Dr. Agbakai, I'm not sure you answered my question correctly. What I'm talking about is we're looking at governance now, looking at Nigeria's problem. Can 4 years fix it? You mentioned that it takes about 1.5 years to set up a government, and I'm wondering, why does it take that long? Because if you're prepared for a situation, if you say, okay, come vote for me, I want to be president, I intend to lead Nigeria, you should have your government planned already. Your list of ministers, people you intend to involve in your cabinet should already be fixed. So why would it take a president 1.5 years to actually fix his government?
It is very difficult. For example, when on assumption of office on May 29th, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, in the area of insecurity, he was beset by a constellation of deeply entrenched, mutually reinforcing, security pathologies. When you talk about the Sahel, the problem from the Sahel, the military coup that happened in Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger. And now all those terrorists, because of the security vacuum, which came into being when the French and other European, partners went back to their country. So that's what I'm saying. Based on this, to fight insecurity in this country, there is no way you can fight insecurity under 2 or 3 years. It's impossible. The president has done a whole lot, to work on the security situation of this country. Look at the budgetary allocation since he came in to power. Currently, 5.41 trillion.
Dr. Agbakai, let me just Kennedy, I'll come to you, but let me just ask Dr. Agbakai a simple question. We're talking about, changing our term, our one term from 4 years to 6 years. Now, in terms of your party, there's a confidence that, you know, the president will win the second term. So why are we rushing to do this reform now if there's a confidence that what he's doing will still take another 4 years? So he's going to, you know, have 8 years. So what's the rush to have this reform? Is it that, like, people are arguing so that, you know, this election will be extended?
Which reform are you talking about?
Moving the term from 4 years to 6 years.
Well, that is left for the National Assembly to do it. The APC as a party has not advocated for a tenure of 6 years. We are only interested in President Tinubu winning the 2027 election and continuing the good work that he's already doing in the economy, stabilizing the economy, the microeconomic fundamentals, you know. So, 4 years tenure, it will not work. Even if 4 years tenure will work, it will not start with the Igbo. We would complete our 8 years whenever it is our turn, as other ethnic groups completed their own. That is the question.
Let me come to you now, Mr. Nwokocha. Some people argue that a one-term presidency could create a lame duck government with, you know, diminishing influence in its final years. How can a leader maintain authority and most importantly, push through difficult reforms under such a system?
Anyway, yeah, I think it was Macbeth. I don't know if you read Macbeth. He started with the story of the three witches, and he said when the three witches, you know, promised Macbeth so much that he was going to be a king and stuff and all that. You know, he later realized that it was all fake, and he said, "And be these jogging fiends no more belief. Who partner with us in a double sense? Who made the word of promise in our heart and break it in our hope?" The problem with APC is that these people are full of lies and propaganda, and you know you can't run a government with propaganda. You can't run a government with propaganda, and that is why everything you have seen, everything they have thought has collapsed. The problem this morning, the question this morning is, can 4 years be enough for one to deliver? All this one is talking about, oh, there is nothing like Igbo presidency. It is Nigerian presidency. And even though we don't have in our constitution, there is this gentleman agreement that we have, that power goes from the north and it goes to the south. And I asked him this morning, in APC, when is the time that power will now go to Igbo people? Because it's so much like Igbo people in this discussion. But in their own arrangements, even after this election, power is not still going to go to the southeast. But the problem is not about Southeast or Igbo presidency. Right now, Nigeria is in a dire straits. Nigeria is drifting. I will need somebody that can arrest this apparent drift. And the question is, can somebody deliver in 4 years? And I've made examples. I talk about American presidents. I talk about Sam Bakwe. I talk about Jack Onde. I talk about even Yaradua. Yaradua did not even do up to 4 years, and he was able to deliver. What do we need today? What do we need today? What does Nigeria need today? One, Nigeria needs law and order. Nigeria needs transparency in governance. Nigeria needs prudent leaders. Nigeria needs wealth creators. People, you know, you ask me a question, why would it take 1.5 years to set up a government? You see, when Buhari came in 2015, when this disaster that called APC started, it took him 6 months to set up and within that 6 months that he could not be able to form a government, the government drifted. This one came on the first day he took office. He said subsidy gone. That statement, that reckless statement he made, that policy that does not have a framework, that is not properly articulated, is what threw Nigeria into the chaos we are facing today. Today, Nigerians cannot travel on Nigerian road safe. The economic situation is there. Over 50% of over 58 million Nigerians are in abject multi-dimensional poverty. Nigeria is the most terrorized country in the world. Nigerians cannot feed. Nigerians cannot provide, basic needs. And it pains me that elders like this will come to television station and begin, because they are party stalwarts, they are being paid, they are getting contracts and all the rest. They come to stations and say, oh, Bola Ahmed Tinubu. It's not about Bola Ahmed Tinubu. It is about Nigerians. It's not about Yoruba. It is about Nigerians. Right now, this country is drifting. Our country is going into the abyss. We need somebody that can come and arrest it. And that person must be somebody who has integrity, somebody who has prudence in management, somebody who can, bring Nigeria to a place where we can have law and order. If you don't have law and order, any other thing you're doing is babatage. And that is why this government, we are seeing fake agencies, we are seeing fake ministries, we are seeing fake directors. We cannot continue like this. So it's not about Bola Ahmed Tinubu. It is about how do we get a Nigerian that can come at this moment, and begin to rescue this country, and begin to drive this country from a place of chaos to a place of sanity. We need somebody who have integrity. We need somebody, a wealth creator, and not people who don't know their name, who don't know the school they attended to, who don't know the state they came from, and when they get into government, they are not prepared. They throw the country into chaos. They are using government. They are buying private jets. They are painting house. They've even disconnected from Aso Rock to tell you the people who promised they are going to give power. They've built tenor. They've built solar in Aso Rock that worth over billion. They've bought rats and put it in the high sea. They've bought beasts. Everything they say, they tell you they do the other way. So this government has empowered them to suffer Nigerians. And Nigerians are saying in this election that we are going to vote them out. Thank God he said that they'll be subject to the election. Nobody is saying that Bola Ahmed Tinubu should not contest. So he's contesting. Nobody's stopping him. So it's not about, oh, Igbo man has not become. No. We are saying that in this time, this moment, that Nigeria needs somebody that can come. And P2B has promised that he will not spend one day. And within 4 years, he'll be able to bring at least 10,000 megawatts of power are distributed. He'll be able to bring sanity in government. He'll be able to bring prudence in government. He'll be able to bring accountability. He'll be able to bring law and order. The reason why countries are folding up and running away from this country is that because there is no law and order. These are the little things, low-hanging fruit that somebody can begin to pluck from day one. The problem with APC is that Bola said it. If you give them 30 years, they waste our time, plug us in abject poverty, plug us in mass insecurity, plug us in mass debt. And we don't have, we should arrest this situation. We should have arrested it in the last election. We won the election, it was stolen. But this time around, we are not going to give APC 1 day after, after this tenure. We are not going to give them 1 tenure. So it's not about Igbo presidency. These arguments are not, are just
so Kennedy,
like
in terms of these debates and in terms of this system that we find ourselves, would you say that we're trying to fix the politicians or we're trying to fix our political system?
We are trying to fix our country. What we are discussing this morning is about Nigeria. It's not about Bola Ahmed Tinubu. It's not about the man sitting there between the station. It's not about Southeast, Southwest. No, it's about Nigeria. What is happening today affects everybody. Nobody buys food cheap from anywhere. Even the man who came from the West, the people are still suffering. I stood in the West and I saw, firsthand how people are suffering. So the fact that he even came from this, it does not benefit anybody. We need somebody. We need a Nigerian that have the capacity, the empathy, the compassion to be able to rescue Nigeria from this apparent. That is what Nigeria needs by now. After this time, we can begin to talk. Should we have 20 years single tenure? Should we have 100 years single tenure? Should we have 1 year after this? But right about now, and that's what P2B, and P2B is making a sacrifice. Even the Igbo presidency is talking about. I asked him, why didn't APC in 2005, why didn't they zone to Southeast? This is also, because I don't know whether it's from Southeast. Why didn't they zone it to Southeast? And I'm asking him, when in APC constitution, when are they going to zone to Southeast? In 2031 and after 2031, are they going to zone to Southeast? Because after Bola Ahmed Tinubu, power will still go back to the north. Or is it saying that after Bola Ahmed Tinubu, that power will come to the south?
Kennedy.
I said these people are confused people. They are wasting our time, and Nigerians have decided that we had enough of them since 2015 when they plunged this country into the disaster we are suffering today. Enough is enough. We don't have that time again.
Like you earlier said, this conversation is about Nigeria, not about the parties and zoning. But I want to say, Dr. Agbakai, thank you so much for joining and having this conversation with us. And of course, thank you, Kennedy Nwokocha, for having this conversation. It is not over. Elections are still a few months away. We will see the outcome and Nigerians will speak at the polling unit. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Now let's go on a short break. When we return, we start another conversation. Stay with us.